Right, thanks very much for having me here today to talk about disability services at Monash. So my name is Tom Perry, I'm the coordinator of the deal again. I also look after students both at Clayton and Hawthorn campus. So I was going to start off with a student profile. We have currently 10 student profiles on our website, and it's just really good to see students telling their own story. And this is a student, Ellie, who has a mental health condition. And I think what's difficult about that is it's not obvious. If someone's in a wheelchair or has a vision impairment, perhaps it's a little bit more straightforward. However, a lot of people have sort of hidden conditions or hidden disabilities, and they can be pretty debilitating depending on the type and severity of the condition. The main thing is that if people need assistance, that they receive that assistance. So students need, for example, in Ellie's case, she received alternative exam arrangements. Sometimes students might need a bit of extra flexibility with their deadlines, have difficulty getting work done when they're not well, things like that. So they can still be really successful. I think that's the important part of this story, is that she was successful in winning the Department of Justice Scholarship, which was worth $20,000, plus some other Monash students won some other awards with that scholarship. It was just fantastic. In fact, we had a Monash student won that scholarship 3 years in a row. And hopefully they'll do it again because it's available again this year. So I suppose what's important is that it's her saying that despite challenges, that she was still able to achieve the goals, complete her study, and also win an important scholarship. I just encourage people to have a look at their student profiles just for examples, case studies of people who received appropriate services and achieved success at university. So the legislative framework that we operate under is education standards, and they're part of the Disability Discrimination Act. So basically what it means is that we need to comply with the standards. They're part of the DDA. They apply to all educational institutions, regardless of level. And the important thing is that we make reasonable adjustments. By reasonable adjustments, I mean, it's a whole variety of things. I've already mentioned a couple of them, for example, alternative exam arrangements. So I'll go into a little bit more detail in a minute about that. The important point, though, is that people are treated on the same basis as other people. So it's not about people getting an unfair advantage. It's about people getting the same fair go as everyone else to do as best as they possibly can. So it's up to us to consult with the person, the student, provide reasonable adjustments where that's required, and also advise the university generally about our obligations under that legislation. Sometimes, if a student's not able to meet the inherent requirements of the course, that's a different issue. Then, as long as they're receiving appropriate adjustments, then really it's up to them whether they can actually be successful in the unit or not, or the course. So there are a few exceptions to those standards, but generally, if someone has any sort of a condition that affects their studies, they're advised to talk to the DLU about services. So our role essentially is to remove barriers to learning, to maximise people's potential. And by doing that, we make adjustments to environmental factors such as exam, environment, technology. So we don't look at it from the old medical model where the disability or the issue was kind of an individual's problem. It's more of an environmental issue. In other words, the outcomes, the education environment. And looking at modifying that or adjusting that so people can still participate on the same basis. And also, as I said, to inform people about everyone about our responsibilities and what we're required to do. We also have a blog too, I should mention, which is regularly updated every week. And that has lots of information, news, events, things like I said, the scholarship opportunity I mentioned. That's a current one. We also have other networks. For example, there's a new network for students with Asperger's syndrome, started up by one of our alumnus, Chris Farney, and one of our staff members, Kevin Robinson, for example, just called the ICANN network, which is fantastic. So there's all sorts of opportunities and information. If students just want to have a look at our blog and just check in to see what's currently happening and what's available for them. So to be eligible for services, essentially, obviously they have to be enrolled in a Monash course, have a disability as defined under the legislation, which is a very broad definition, can I say. So it's not as narrow. Some people think of it as a very fairly sort of clear, narrow definition, but like I said, it could be the presence of a disease, it could be, like I said, mental health, it could be learning disability, a whole range of factors. The main thing is that if there is a condition that's affecting their studies, that's what we look at. the impact on them in the educational environment and what their health professional recommends to assist that person to enable them to fully participate and have the best chance of being successful. There's lots of information on our website about the registration process. We have a simple 2-page registration form, which in most cases is sufficient for students to register. I've got a service brochure which I've left on the table there, which we just give out to students if they just want to inquire. That's fine too. So to register, students can have a range of impairments or conditions, hearing and vision, like I said, a little bit more perhaps well understood. There's, as I said, medical condition could be present, such as chronic fatigue, which obviously could impact on a person's ability to study effectively, diabetes, lots of other conditions. Learning disability, dyslexia, is perhaps the most commonly known one. That doesn't mean that some might be a very capable student, but they might have difficulty with reading and writing. Neurological impairment, quite ranging, epilepsy, and like I said, autism or Asperger's syndrome would fall under that category. Physical impairment, back injuries, neck injuries. Again, that's kind of hidden, but if someone's got a really sore back and it's really affecting them, their ability to sit for long periods of time in an exam, for example, or in a lecture theatre, or attend class regularly, that's something that can be addressed and assisted with. And also mental health, and of course, the majority of our registered students would fall under that category. Depression and anxiety, very common. There may be other conditions that people experience, such as bipolar, schizophrenia, post-traumatic stress disorder, and others. So there's no stigma about that. It's simply about what is the condition, what is their health professional advice, and how we can assist with relevant services. And also, some people might have short-term conditions, so it's not just ongoing permanent disabilities or conditions. For example, leading up to exams, often students will, they'll be playing sport or doing something, like skiing or horse riding or something, and they'll break their hand or break their leg, or something will go wrong. And they come to us and say, look, I've got an exam, what will I do? And what would you do? If you broke your hand and you had to have an exam in a couple of weeks' time, we'd come to us, because we are the agency that organises those exam arrangements. Sometimes we may not have time if it's very, very close to exam time, but we'll always see what we can do and try to assist the students as best we can, or at least advise them on other options, such as special consideration. So again, if it's a short-term disease or a broken bone or an illness, we can still assist with that in the majority of cases. So in terms of our services, note takers, for those people who need a note taker in class, or Auslan interpreters, obviously for people who use Auslan, people who are deaf. Excuse me. Alternative formats of learning materials, typically PDF, it could be others such as Braille. So electronic information is more widely spread and more common these days, which is great. We just look at what that person requires. I mentioned exam arrangements. We have a peers volunteer program, our own little volunteer program, and if people want to access that, they can apply online. We have a link on our webpage. Library assistance, they might need assistance with reading skills, with accessing their text, with scanning materials, all that sort of requirement. We have resting rooms on campus, most of our campuses where people have for example, I use the example of chronic fatigue, where people just need to lie down, they're not seriously unwell, they just need a little rest, a break in the middle of the day, that sort of thing. Electric scooters, a big campus like Clayton, if you break your leg or if you've got an ongoing mobility issue and you need to get around campus independently, you can borrow an electric scooter for the day or for the duration of your mobility restriction, and it will start from too, by the way. All the hearing devices and physical access issues. If people have difficulty with getting into buildings or accessing a classroom or accessing equipment, that sort of thing, they can do that. And by the way, in the library too, we also have lots of assistive technology like screen reading software, magnification software, that sort of thing. So we're located, our main office is here at Clayton, so building 55, which used to be the gallery building. It's the Monash Indigenous Centre, in between the Alexander Theatre and the Law Building. Just a short way across there. So that's where we're located, but we do cover all campuses. Like I said, I'm also the liaison officer at Caulfield, so I'm there on Tuesday at the health service at Caulfield, and we also visit the other campuses. Right? So just because the students are at a different campus doesn't mean I still come to see services. Domestic student, international, postgraduate, undergraduate, whatever. So we cover the whole of Monash and the whole student population. So I suppose the important thing is The student talks about conditions, like mental health, could be disability, and they're just wanting to know what's available. Just get them to give us a call, go on their website, make a time to see us. We really welcome that. So just refer them on. And we really, as I said, we'd love to talk to students. We have an open house week during orientation week, 24th to 28th. So at Clayton, any student can drop in between 9 and 4 without making an appointment, and just drop in. And so we make sure we're all available that week. And they have a private chat. It's all private. You know, it doesn't have to go anywhere. But it's up to them what they decide to do with that. We encourage them to register if they need services. But it has no bearing on their academic record or anything, so it won't affect their studies. It might disadvantage them. I think that's important, particularly with international students. They might think declaring a disability is somehow going to be unique. Absolutely not. Quite the contrary, in fact. It's always a good thing. People seek out relevant services and seek assistance. It's always going to help them in the long run. So even if people they can't get to us, but they want to give us a call or make a time to talk to us on the phone, that's fine too. So just welcome that referral and that ongoing contact. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so thanks very much for your attention today. We just encourage you, like I said, if you receive any questions about disability or relevant those sort of services, you can just refer them on to us, and we're always welcome that service. Okay, thank you.